I am so looking forward to this one. Both teams need that big start behind them to get these plays, these big heavy hitters rolling into this matchup. And hell, NA certainly needs a champion to start pulling them through this tournament. And these could be the boys to do it, but let's talk about outside in this map. But, you know, looking at Luminosity, they seem a team who can really challenge on that T-side as well. They have quite the T-side power, as does Na'Vi. Is there a massive preference here? Is it still quite the up-in-the-air map where it's just down to team's preference?
No, you want CT side first. And the big thing about that is the tough part for Na'Vi and maybe a key for Luminosity. It's a case in every matchup, but especially this one. Nicely done from Fallen.
4 kills.
4 kills.
Starting off well. That's,
but
nice
you want to keep the op out of Guardian's hands. He's that heavy hitter. So, you know, keeping that away from him is actually a huge issue for Luminosity moving forward. Especially because, you know, Fallen's not going to come to play. They don't have anyone to go against him.
And said on the desk, it was highlighted that Fallen looked a little shaky against Guardian. It's a big name to face up against.
Yeah, well, Semler before the match was actually, you know, saying he was... Guardian was just seemed like in a good mood all day today, and he was like, "That's not a good sign for Luminosity." He's like, when Guardian's in this kind of a mood, it's like he enters into that beast mode where he just wrecks house. So a little bit, we'll have to keep an eye on that one.
Well, Luminosity have the side they want. They're going to be picking up on the CT side here. T side will be Na'Vi. So if there's going to be a beginning for Luminosity, it has to start from the beginning. It has to go all the way through here. And Na'Vi are deadly if they pick this map up. That's what I feel, that there goes the swing if this one goes their favor, but we're going to find out very, very soon which way this one goes. If I'm going to push you for a scoreline, because the desk was hazarding guesses, where are you going to go for on this?
You know, I actually, with this map selection, I think this is actually going to be 2-0 for Na'Vi.
You think a 2-0 to Na'Vi, so you're basically going against the desk here?
Yeah, I am. I'll go against the desk. I got no problem with that.
You've been doing it quite a lot.
I know, I do it all the time, so I'm comfortable in this situation. But I think that it's going to be probably around like 16-11, 16-12 for Na'Vi on this map.
Okay, so still a relatively close scoreline. We're still going to see that big back and forth. Na'Vi just taking a couple of seconds to talk things through. They are a team that have got those rather explosive personalities as well as game style, let's call it. And we can kind of have a little chat about that while they are just discussing a couple of things as they're getting ready. What does that put, you know, mental pressure towards, and how does that affect attitude in this team? Because let's say Luminosity do pick up this map, it's, you know, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Is it harder to come back then if you're this sort of fiery team that you thrive when it goes well, but you can spiral when it goes badly?
Yeah, well, Na'Vi's got enough experience to go, you know, they can reset in between maps. Also, you know, it's pretty fortunate they have overpasses the next map, so if they do drop this, Luminosity is not a great overpass team. Na'Vi, that should, you know, have a little bit less pressure on them there, on their home pick. But the big thing for Na'Vi is just they have to start maps out well. When you have those explosive personalities, it's, you know, when you have those attitudes that can flare up, it's the within the map situation that really becomes volatile. That's where you really, you know, if you go down 5-0, if you go down 6-0, that's when those tempers can flare, and that's when they start causing real issues. In between maps, they can take that break, they can reset, but, you know, they need to be really, really focused no matter what the scoreline might get to.
Yeah, you're certainly not wrong. Na'Vi are almost institutes in this game by now. You know, they are relatively the kind of archetypes of this game. You see Edward still around, Zeus, these guys aren't exactly new to the game. You know, Guardian as well, of course. Flamy's still a little newer there, but it seems that everyone's waiting for that guy as well to suddenly explode into this game, you know, and he's been up and down. He's not had the most consistent of performances, but when he goes, he's huge. You know, what does it take a player to find consistency? Is it just experience? Is it just playing it through? Is it the right opponents that he just finds, you know, more comfortable against? What do you think holds this guy back on occasion?
You know, you got to say, you might have, you know, we heard Danders talk about it, the personalities on this team, the tempers flaring, that creates some uncomfortable situations, especially for new players that are, you know, on that verge. So that might play part into it. A lot of it is at a certain point as a player, when you start like hitting this level and you're always playing at it, you have this like one game where things just feel really start to click within your team, and then you can build off that. But Na'Vi's been so up and down recently that he's kind of playing with them, because it's like they haven't had that consistent thing. They haven't had that click match where they just go off for some time. I mean, leading up to the major, they didn't look all that great. Yep. Had a great performance at the major, and then afterwards, haven't looked that great since then. So, I mean, it's been up and down.
So just to keep you guys informed, I think Na'Vi are just having a couple of issues on stage, so we want to get those resolved, of course, before we get this one started. So that is why we're still having a little discussion here, but let's kind of bring it into the best of 3 format, because, you know, this is where it seems to divide people with these two teams. You know, these two are, you know, so familiar and so similar pretty much throughout every other aspect to a degree. You know, these heavy hitters that come out on form every now and then. You've got, you know, the play style on the T side has its, you know, draws across both teams, but then best of 3s are a little bit more comfortable, let's say, for Na'Vi here in comparison to Luminosity, especially in the most recent runs here. what holds them back? Because they have a relatively good map pool. They don't necessarily have massive weaknesses. What's the downfall there?
I think part of it too is, you know, they don't have necessarily a weak map, but they don't have necessarily like that dominant map. You know, they can't, you know, every map is going to be a battle with these guys, and you're always battling. Sometimes that gets a little strained through a best of 3 series when every map is, you know, going to 16-13, 16-14. It's exhausting. And it's, you know, it's weird because it's the same issue CLG's had at times. It's like they can win one map, but like, for whatever reason, they don't view a best of 3 as like 3 separate maps. They're looking at it like it's just the best of 3. You almost have to say, okay, just one map at a time, just like narrow things down.
Well, hope for Luminosity's sake they do start well. I'd love to see a good 3-mapper coming out from these two. Of course, Henry bringing back up the major there and how good that game was between these guys. And it was a close affair as well. As you said, these, you know, Luminosity, they may not always win those best of 3s, but my gosh, do they get close. It's just 16-14, 16-13s. It must wear down on this team, especially when the, you know, the big stars are having to operate at such a high tier level. But still, you know, I'm just curious how this one plays out, and I don't know how Guardian's going to find this one. That's what I find curious about these guys, is when someone's so vocal about how fiery their team is and how easy they do get rustled, it's how do they get that reset going afterwards, you know? Because they do come out into the second maps, the third maps, whenever they get there, and they still work just as well. You heard it throughout the major when he was, you know, in the interviews with Red Eye saying that we do occasionally have these problems where we're arguing. We are literally shouting at each other mid-game. It must take so much composition to just reset on the next map.
That, or they're just so used to it that it doesn't really phase anyone. Like if it's been going on for some time, they're just like, all right, there's no point even trying to change this. Let's just figure out how to ride it out.
Just Stockholm syndrome.
Maybe they have players on this team that just like play better mad, and it's just like that tactic. They're just like, let's just piss everyone off here and get after it.
All right, so talking about Mirage, at least for Luminosity, I think this was the one that started to turn heads. It was the Fnatic result where I'm not sure if they won it originally or if it was just a very close game that came through where they surprised pretty much everyone. It was under their previous name, if I'm not mistaken. So it's these sort of results that just turned everyone's heads. And do you think that Navi's put time into this before against Luminosity? Because I remember hearing interviews with Guardian, and, you know, are you prepared for your opponents? Have you watched their demos? And they were like, not really. We come into it as we are. We play our own game. We don't necessarily take that into account. Is there something you need to take account for coming up against someone like Luminosity here?
You know, not so much that you have to like literally like figure out all these anti-strats. I think Navi, you're exactly right. I don't think they might have sat down and watched some demos, but they're not, you know, writing down the details to identify the tactics. The big thing was when they first started up onto this map, Luminosity, they were known for their executions, how explosive their set smokes, and they would just blow up onto a bomb site so incredibly quickly it would catch everyone off guard. But since they've made this move to America, and this has been going on over the past 2 seasons, they've started slowing things down as well. They're no longer just execution based. They can slow things down. They can work for picks. They can, you know, get players into certain crucial spots for map control, cut off some rotations, and re-execute from there. So they're no longer just that execute-based team. That's the kind of team, if everyone just comes in and has all these just flat-out executions on Mirage, you can read them really well. So now, I mean, Navi's got to play a little bit more honestly, but it's going to be the situation where that op on Guardia, that's the X factor. If that thing goes off, it's like no matter what Luminosity does, he's going to get his.
Guardian is such a beast at the moment, and you've got to keep your eyes on that man. There's no disputing it. That lineup has big names, but his is a mile ahead of pretty much everyone's right now. You know, arguably the best AWPer in CSGO. Consistency is the main thing that always springs to my mind. He never seems to have an awful game. He's always turning up, whether it be, you know, T-side on Inferno, where most people just find no form with the AWP to the same degree. He's still finding consistency. And the point is that I'm looking at now is how does Fallen deal with that? Does he take him on? Does he go for the challenge? Does he go for the fight? Is he brave enough to go for the initial fight, or does he play around that? Does he ignore it?
He'll be brave enough, but I think what they might do at some point is, you know, switch things up. They have this guy Cold, who's, you know, at times that rifle is going to be like an op. He's just going to drop you with a nice headshot. They've got Fur next to him. They've got Steel and Bolts, who in their own rights in certain matches have stepped up massively for this team. It's not always the most consistent, but it seems like one of them in any series is going to have a really solid game. So the big thing is just like getting aggressive into certain positions, maybe pushing up mid. Maybe they don't take that op duel. You know, those are hard to win. Maybe try and catch Guardian off guard a little bit.
So there's one thing I do recall, throwing my mind back to, you know, even one of the previous majors to the latest. It was the fact that Luminosity did really like the double AWP setup. They were quite heavily dependent on that back then. You know, it's been a while since. Has that become maybe a thing of the past, or is that still a factor they can kind kind of depend on here.
They can go back to it. They still have, they've Cold in the lineup who has picked it up on like a map like Dust 2. I've seen him pick it up, obviously a very heavy, dual op setup map. This also it can work on. It remains to be seen. The only thing is that's like a very big drain on the economy, obviously. So are they going to want to do that? Are they going to build up at a bank enough to be able to afford that double op setup over and over again?
Bearing in mind, of course, it increases the risk that Guardian could take it away from you.
Yeah.
That's the one thing they've got to also have in their mind is, if we invest into this, we get it going, sure, we may pick up a couple, it may work out slightly, but then if you give Guardian the chance, there is a real dangerous aspect. So guys, thank you for sticking with us. Obviously, the problems seem to be getting themselves resolved here, so we'll be getting this one started nice and quickly. We've delved rather well into Luminosity up against Na'Vi here. So I do hope you guys are ready for when this one kicks off. Both teams are ready. It is time to jump into the first round. To remind yourselves, Luminosity on the CT side, T side's gonna be Na'Vi. And what do we see so far? Fur, well, he's going walkabouts.
Yeah, he's going for information, and if he's going to keep going, he's going to find Edward, who's watching for this kind of a play. They're on the left, and a nice goosh. Fur's got to fall back, but he's got a long way to go. But support is going to push Edward back, so he gets away.
So, Fur resetting things. He does get away alive. Not by much, but just about.
That's smart from Edward as well, not to over-pursue that, not to be the one who falls there, because they have got that goosh on a Fur. They know he's very, very weak.
Now, looking at Na'Vi, they are bringing themselves around towards A rather slowly. Now, Bolts is the only man on this side, bearing in mind. They do have the smoke towards Guardian. Seized as well. One molly and two flashes there, so they have enough to piece sign together with. This two-man stack over towards B may be negated pretty damn soon, and they are going to be peering in towards this. Smokes have been put down. One towards, deep in towards jungle, it looks like. One towards stairs, and they will be waiting this one out. They're not going for it just yet, and here we go. Na'Vi finally breaking in, removing CT out straight up, challenging it, not even needing the smoke there, and that bomb is going down uncontested.
Yeah, those smokes just kind of indicate that even if they don't get that kill, they want to take over CT spot. And now Flamy's going to get aggressive, but nicely done from Fallen. Drops him very, very quickly.
It's all onto the retake now for Luminosity. They do have one hit towards Steel, so keep your eyes on him as Na'Vi just retract back. Edward sitting up by Tetris, just waiting this one out. Bombs planted for ramp as well. This should be their round, but Fallen says no. Molly comes out, buying the time. Fallen still at it, still chimes in. It's down to Guardian now. 1v4, clock is ticking though, but he's on the bomb right now. It's ticking down, but Steel has it in the bag, and Luminosity retake the side well.
Yeah, what a ridiculous retake from Luminosity. That's one way to get it started. Actually, a very clever Molotov from Na'Vi, throwing it off the wall. It lands on the bomb, but actually Na'Vi, they plant the bomb and they fall so far away. They have two members at the bottom of A ramp just watching for some kind of a flank. And because they're so far back, it gives Luminosity too much space to work with, and they find the kills.
So a little bit of a pause here, and we can kind of talk through what we saw coming out from those guys. I do like that setup by Na'Vi. It seemed to be going well. They did get the plant down at least. They worked around it. The molly didn't actually quite creep far enough towards the later stages there, so he did get the defuse started, but then again, Steel was the man on it, so he's not going to be too fussed by that. But Fallen coming up with a good so early on here is a great sign for him.
Yeah, it is a good sign, but just Luminosity, that's crucial to get off to that good start, because that looked like that was going to be all Na'Vi. They had everything they could have wanted in that round. They had the Molotov play set up perfectly. And now going forward, there is an investment into this round. They have the Deagles, they have the Tech 9s, and all the nades with full armor.
Nice. So Na'Vi taking that bomb towards B, 3 towards mid. It looks relatively fast thus far, and Na'Vi just powering forward. There's flashes of plenty. They're slowing them down. Short's being held up. Cold's taking the fight. Fur already found Zeus. You can see the rotate coming in. Luminosity don't look phased by this, even though Na'Vi are pouring in towards the site. Steel holding it down well, takes down Edward, but they are starting to fall. No guns really recovered. Flamy did touch one for a second. Fur had none of that, and it's down to the last two remaining. Trying to get out towards B. Bomb yet to be planted, and doesn't look as though it might have the chance here as Fallen's found Guardians just down to Seized.
Yeah, really nicely done. Luminosity gets there just in time. Seized does have the bomb, so he can try and work something a little bit fancy, and it looks like he wants to circle around to the B bomb site. All of Luminosity is spread out, so he's going to have a one-on-one with Bolts. And if he can find this kill, that's going to be a bomb plant, but he can't do it. Bolts is ready for it. Drops him, and 3 members of Luminosity survive into the next round.
Keeping that M4 safe as well. 1 SMG remaining, not too bad. They're building up pretty nicely here. Na'Vi getting relatively close. That was a fast round coming out from Na'Vi.
Tried to catch him off guard. It was actually really well executed. Fur actually spams one through the smoke coming up catwalk in mid, so if he doesn't get that kill, there's a lot more pressure put onto that B bomb site. And that one kill delayed him from taking it long enough to allow the rotations of the defense to come into play.
Well, it looks like they're just going to go for the flat up palm as much as they can. The flashes are there. The smoke's gone down. Guardian sees coming out ramp. It's going to be Fur to watch him pouring out of Palace. Guardian going to leave skip and hop across. He actually does catch out one. That's Fallen, and the bomb's planted. This is really good stuff from Na'Vi.
Yeah, and they've done a lot of damage. Fallen's got to fall away. C's is now close up with an M4, and there's no armor. There's no investment into this round except some P250s, and C's, he wants to get aggressive, but he can't find the opportunity.
This should be a mop-up from Luminosity. Finally, that M4 is removed, and Luminosity bring back the situation. But Guardian is still waiting here. And that clock is ticking. Molly down, the diffuser's coming in. Oh, Guardian! Through the smoke. He finally gets taken down, but that clock is ticking so fast, but Fallen takes him out, and Steel does have the time.
So incredibly close. Luminosity, that round and the pistol round just hanging on by a thread. One kill goes the other way. But look how dangerous this is. Just the P250s, no armor. And once again, Luminosity playing very, very far back. Guardian finds some very nice shots. And now he's got the AWP in his hands.
So this is where it gets interesting. We got Fallen picking it up, we got Guardian picking it up. They've got what they need to a degree. Na'Vi are a little lighter than maybe they'd ideally want, but they'll work on it. And Guardian's being flashed back. He's been pushed back from ramp. But look how close up Fallen is. He's gone straight up there. Fur as well, keeping eyes on Connector. But Fallen, he's looking for these fights.
This was so aggressive. He ran right to this spot. This is a game plan that he wanted to execute. That flashbang just forces Guardian back. So now there it is. Flamy's not expecting that whatsoever. Fallen finds that kill, smokes things off. Now he can fall back and relocate.
All right, so Luminosity finally putting a lot more bodies in towards this A site. Bolt, Fur, and Fallen all playing around here. Zeus Guardian still kind of coming up the traditional route, but mid is still being pressured here. Fur going to back out of that. Maybe just let Na'Vi take some control and just play from the sites themselves.
Yeah, C's has advantage in Connector, though. So he's got a good spot to cut off any kind of rotations, and it's a tough place to be in right now. Na'Vi, they're not really in a position to be aggressive, but they have to be. And Bolts, he's got one coming out from above him, and he's got C's who's coming in as well. Guardian can't hit the shot fast enough. Fallen with 2 kills with his AWP. He's been the most impactful sniper so far. And even Bolts is going to chime in onto C's.
And now Edwards can be swept aside, and Luminosity, that's 4 in a row now. The first few were close, but that is a clean gun round coming in. That AWP was massive from Fallen, going straight up towards ramp, then just taking the fight straight away. Yeah,
we were wondering, you know, is he going to want to do that? Is he going to want to challenge Guardian? And he's saying, all right, I'm going to just start things out aggressively. I'm going to set the pace with this AWP. Gets that first kill.
Well, this was a point that Yanko brought up on the desk as well. You can't let Na'Vi just dictate the whole play, you know, dictate the pace. You can't let them do this, whether it's T or CT sided. You've got to be able to find a way to challenge, whether it be that aggressive sort of peeking, whether it's playing for the retakes on the site. There has to be a way to draw it back in, and it looks like Luminosity are playing towards that.
Yeah, if you play a little bit too passively, that gives Guardian just so much space to work with. So they take that away from him. They deny him that kind of presence. So we do have a little bit of a pause here, but things should be going pretty soon as Zeus gets back into the server.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Hopefully all is good and well. The admin's hard at work, just keeping them busy.
Right.
But still, let's kind of take stock of what we're going to be seeing now, because this is going to put Na'Vi in a predicament. They're not a team that like to go for those kind of cheesier force buys, you know, that you don't see it coming out as much. They are a team that's fairly classical, kind of playing the classic CS that Henry G loves and adores. Now, whether or not that's going to help them out here is going to be the question. Now, looking at the money for them, it's not great. You know, they've had plants, they've been getting a little bit of damage done, they've been having a couple of pickups. That third round was pretty good. They got, you know, down to 2 players on the opposition. Prior to that, though, it's been 3s and 4s and then pretty much the clean gun round. So, you know, looking at Luminosity, they're sitting pretty here, but for Na'Vi, you know, are they going to be in trouble soon? Is this going to remove maybe the AWP a little longer from Guardian's hands here?
It all depends on one, if they can get that plant in the next round. Also, Guardian's sitting about $3,000. So yeah, next round they're going to want to buy up because they have the money across the board. So that's when they're going to have the full losing bonus. So actually, he should be able to get an AWP no matter what happens. And once again, it's just going to be, are they going to execute? Are they going to give him time to pick something off? And this is now at the point, that point we talked about, where Na'Vi, if they lose this next round, are they going to start getting, are those tempers going to be flaring? Are they going to be able to stay poised in this matchup on this T-side Mirage, which can get a little, you know, a little dicey at times?
And this is the thing. I love seeing teams going aggressive in small doses, because it becomes so frustrating to play against, because you don't expect an AWP to be challenging at ramp straight up. It's frustrating as a player. So if Fallen's doing that, and he's already getting their faces, he's leading the scoreboard by, he's 8-0 right now. He's yet to even die. He's been playing this huge game for his team. So as an opponent to that, you've got to be frustrated. I think these teams are just hopefully sorting things out here. There is still a couple of issues, but yeah, it's got to be frustrating, and Luminosity can play on that, surely.
Yeah, and here's the tough part is, you know, this is going to start getting to the point where if Luminosity wins another round, they're going to have the money for that double up setup like we talked, and then you can just throw even more wrinkles against Na'Vi, and that's where it gets a little bit scary. So Na'Vi, Actually, looks like Zeus has bought up a Glil here, although he didn't have too much money to work with. I mean, there is a little bit of investment here, some armor, some Tech 9s coming out, smokes, just to see what they can make happen, a little bit of gun juggling. So they want to make some kind of a play in this round that can do some damage, because they know next round they're going to have the full losing bonus. And if they can get a plant on top of that and deal damage, they might just have Luminosity at a breaking point in terms of their economy.
Well, looking at what they're buying into right about now, Na'Vi have the smokes, they have a little bit to kind of build something off. So we'll see if they can do it. They've been fairly successful at getting the bombs down. You know, Luminosity excluding that small bit of aggression from Fallen, a little bit of mid-push from Fur to begin with, you know, in the first pistol round. They have been relatively passive towards A, but let's see if that bomb's going to go down here for Na'Vi, see if they can at least get that on the board. They were so close with P250s. If you give them a little more, who knows what they can work from the back of it.
Crucially, in this kind of force, a little bit of a force up that Na'Vi has, the investment that they've taken with the full losing bonus, Guardian's going to be able to have the op next round no matter what happens. So he's not in danger of not having that weapon in the future. He's only bought a couple nades in a P250, not investing into armor, but it's going to be seized with that Galil. He's got to be the one who defines something early, and it's a weaker weapon going up against Luminosity. And right off the bat, they dedicate themselves to an A hit. No map presence whatsoever anywhere else.
All right, let's see what time they go for now, lining up those smokes. Double stack from Luminosity towards B, so we are going to have Bolts being the man up in CT. Last time they left CT open, went for the challenge on that, this time not the case. Nice little spray does catch on towards Edward, but here comes the damage. Fur gets a faceful. Gonna drop the nade out and back away as much as possible, but Na'Vi taking this one slowly.
Yeah, not aggressing too much. There comes a nice trade kill. Seas finds that kill. Now he can move forward, cover of smokes, clearing out the stairs for his team. They're going to get aggressive. Fallen hasn't been able to find anything. Zeus finds it with a P250, but there's one more player. Seal coming up, delays the plant a little bit longer, and he does even more than that. He brings it down into a 2-on-2.
But Fur's the danger factor now. He's been creeping around that back for some time, but Zeus is going to head right towards him. Fur's going to find him. And now Edward left in this 1v2. Fur's a little low here, but he's backed out. He doesn't need to challenge on this one. And still holding strong. Smart
play. Edward turns around and his teammate says, you know, I dinked him. He's low. So Edward turns around to take that fight, but Fur just bails out and he repositions himself. So smart play. Now the bomb's down at A. There's only 30 seconds left. So Edward, once he does eventually get to position towards connector, he's going to have to hustle. He's going to have to find Fur quickly and find that one-on-one.
All right, Edward, let's see what you can do here. First playing for the time. That is all Luminosity are doing. They know where the bomb is. They know roughly where Edward's going to be pretty darn soon. I think Fur certainly would have heard him charging through mid here, and the challenge is going to come out. The rifle does get picked up, but Edward slaps back Fur, and it's down to the 1v1. Steal against Edward. Edward spots him out, switching up to the rifle. Spray comes in. Edward gets denied, and Steal in the last second picks it up.
So fortunate for Luminosity. Again, another good round that comes very, very close. Low HP, but this is the thing. That buy did its job. 4 kills. They don't get the plant, but they do so much damage now. So still, the economy for Luminosity, despite winning 5 straight, isn't that strong. Now he's keeping it close here as we do enter the 6th round with another pause.
Non-tactical.
Yeah, non-tactical.
Yeah, so hopefully, you know, the thing is that no one's going to be building off of this. That's the thing. Like, no one's getting that momentum behind them right now because they're constantly into these pauses. I guess maybe it gives time for Na'Vi to have a discussion as to what is going on here, because they are struggling. They're getting these, you know, they're getting site control. They've been getting bomb plants. They've just not been taking it any further than that, and it's been getting very, very close. What's it going to take now? Is there something definitive here, or is it just literally player X landing shot onto player Y at the moment?
I mean, you look at some of the retakes that Luminosity has had onto the same bomb site. It's been very, very good. Na'Vi, you know, not winning some of those battles when Luminosity does come in to get the bomb defused. So, I mean, they're getting that bomb down. You mentioned it a couple times in that A site. You know, one of them was an eco round, but they had, you know, pretty good advantage in terms of manpower. They just can't stop Luminosity from coming in afterwards.
All right, we are getting things sorted once again here. But Luminosity off to a fantastic start. Now this is what we said was exactly what Luminosity need to be able to challenge it to the 3rd. Get the good beginning, follow it through all the way out, and Fallen leading the fray by some margin, and Steel as well having quite the game. Na'Vi yet to really get off those kind of starting blocks, but then again, they're not a team that's going to be too gone just yet, I hope. You know, as we said, they can reset on the maps. They don't need to be too worried about the second maps going forward. This is their home maps coming up. You know, they do very well on Overpass. That is their pick, which will be the next one. And right now, we are just resetting the server to make sure that money is all correct here, because it is quite the important round coming in.
Right, and here's the cool thing, too, for Luminosity. A lot of talk, even at the analyst desk, some things we mentioned as well, is Fallen. And you know, him at the top of the scoreboard at 8-1 right now. He's trailed by Steel at 7-1, but off to a good start is Fallen. You mentioned right off the bat in that 4th round with the op just pushing up close to A-ramp. That is highly unexpected, and Flamy's kind of that player, you know, younger player we talked about little bit inexperienced. Now that he's been on this team for quite some time, that's kind of fading away. But still, that's the troubling thing. If these are the kind of peaks in the battles that he's going to find, that's going to get frustrating.
We'll have to find out how he deals with this going forward. Still in the pause right now, but it is a question, and I'm dying to see Flamy really find that form at one of these events, because he becomes such a beautiful player to watch. He does have quite the finessing game, but then again, Guardian as well. These two players, in my eyes, I want to see them finding a little more than what they've got thus far. It's been a little bit of the Luminosity game, you know, and their show to this point, but things can change. It's still, we're only going into round 6. It's still early doors, but Luminosity have been building well. They've been showing really good traits, I guess, is the more important thing here than the overall scoreline to a smaller margin.
The big thing, too, is Na'Vi, despite it being 0-5, with the punish that they did in terms of getting 4 kills in the last round, you know, they're now at this point now where if they reset this economy at a Luminosity, it could force, you know, a save, could force 2 saves, and going up against those pistols, I mean, obviously it's still extremely dangerous, but that's a great way to close this gap quicker than would be expected. It might look like a stomp at 6-3, but once they break the economy, it can very quickly turn into, you know, two rounds away from tying things up.
Well, we've seen the amount of turns in these games today already. I think a couple of, you know, NA teams certainly feeling the brunt of that thus far, sadly.
Oh, thanks for bringing that one up.
It's all right. It hurt my heart, let's be honest. We were in the green room backstage, just kind of crying out for some teams to do a little bit better at certain scorelines. But this one so far still looking like Luminosity are in charge. The unpause should be coming in pretty soon. Once again, apologies for keeping you guys waiting. We are just making sure everything is ready to go, hopefully this time. There are no more pauses, as much as I'm sure Na'Vi are sitting there going, well, at least we can chat it through. But still, as said, things do seem to be going back underway. Yeah,
it is almost like they got a little bit of a pause here in this first gun round. So talk things over. What do they come out with it? And this time they're going to switch things up. They're going to go for a bit of mid-control. Fallen and Guardian both heading to this position. Fallen takes that first shot but doesn't land anything. Misses a grenade, so he's got to fall off. And even Guardian, a rare miss.
That is something you do not see every day. Now, Fallen has a second chance here. Does he go back for this? Surely not. Going to adjust maybe. But Na'Vi do have mid-control. 4 players here. No one challenging into this. First already going walkabout as well. This is Luminosity looking for options. They want map control. If they lose mid, they're going to take it in apartments. They want to find out what's going on.
And this is Flamy again. If he could kill, this could just put him right on a tilt at the beginning of the match for a free kill for him. And wisely, again, takes that kill, falls away.
And the bomb sat in spawn. They don't even have it right now. And everyone's pretty pushed up here. Edward's got himself in a good position. Zeus isn't too badly done. But they're still looking for these opportunities. And bear in mind, Luminosity are playing pretty passively at the moment. They're just saying, all right, we'll wait this out. We don't need to be fighting this one through. Fallen does get a chance then. Doesn't land it. And Na'Vi still hold firm.
Yeah, they've got Zeus and Connector. They've got Edward boosted up into the window and Guardian aggressive on Cat. So Seized is going to come get the bomb. And with all these advanced positions, there's a lot of options available to him. The tough thing is smart play by Fur. He pushes down to this A ramp and he's just holding that position. So even if they come up Connector, he's not really in danger. He can just take if he gets this kill onto the bomb, it might just be all over with only 25 seconds left.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge factor here. And Fur, if he kills Seized, it's going to be theirs to go for. Seized will at least find a little bit of silver lining here in towards Na'Vi's attempt towards A. Finally, the play comes through. Fallen was waiting ever so patiently towards CT. Bolts chimes in, and Fallen's not done just yet. It's all on Edward. He's got 10 seconds. The bomb is loose, and Cold Zero wants a piece of the action. And Luminosity having enough of Na'Vi's style. They're like, all right, you want to take mid? Fine. You want to play it slow? Fine. We'll sit back, we'll wait, and we will take you down one by one.
Yeah, that's the thing. Na'Vi's got to do a little bit better watching the extremities of this map. That time it's a push through Palace. Previously it's fallen down towards A ramp. You know, you can expect there's going to be some pressure put into these B halls early on, and now there's a buy by Na'Vi. They have the full losing bonus, but they have no AWP on Guardian. They have 2 more smokes to work with, and they're just pouring it on. Fallen gets one right through the smoke.
Beautiful stuff. A man whose performance was questioned previously, would he be able to find it against Guardian? And this is the start that is going to make this man very, very pleased. But 4 players now for Na'Vi can be looking towards his B side. Steel and Cold have been double stacking this up pretty early on, negating presence in mid for this. Cold waiting so patiently here. His teammate Paul still goes down. Nice work from Zeus to check the corner. Cold is done and dusted. Now the bomb will be going down. And it's retake time for Luminosity.
Yeah, can they do it again? This is a post plant that Na'Vi has to win. Get on the board. 6-1 wouldn't be too bad, and 2 members coming through market now.
You shouldn't be able to retake this, but Fallen started off well. Seized has already fallen, and the 2 players coming out from Kitchen, going to be flashing out, trying to create an opportunity for Fur, working up a short. Guardian's going to remove Bolt from the situation, but it is down to the 2 remaining players. Fur's gone and found Guardian. It's down to a 1v2, and well, Fallen's going to give it a good crack here, but time is running out, and he knows that.
Yeah, not a bad thing, though. He's trying to keep these guys pitted so he can get more deaths by the bomb, and they almost line up for him. and they're both going to die from the bomb, so no one survives for Na'Vi, and that's actually not a bad play from Luminosity, because on the verge, they win one round, on the verge of getting their economy reset if Na'Vi were to lose this. They're going to have a very weak buy because all members die in a victory. And Luminosity, they're loving it. They have an op on Fallen still. They've got 3 M4s to work with. So really well done from Fallen there, despite, you know, dying in the end.
God, that shot was close. You know, it's ones where you're almost hoping it hits just for the sake of it. But Na'Vi going back to what looks like a fast play towards A. The smokes are going to be coming a little later than where they're going to. And Edward already going to find Fur. Now, Bolts has been pretty prolific playing out of CT, but no smoke towards jungle is allowing Cold the real free reign of things here. Cold Zera just going to town on Na'Vi, and those rifles not having the chance to be utilized yet, but C's finally picks up the slack, and now it's down to a 2v2. Bomb yet to go down. C's kind of locked in here. He needs help from Edward.
Yeah, and C's just playing this patiently. All he's got to do is prevent anyone from pushing in on him, and look at this play from Edward. This is a long time to have C's be all on his own, though. That's got to be a little bit scary, and it looks like Edward, he might try and go towards the CT spawn flank. He is. He's going to crawl through. No one from Luminosity is looking this way. This could be a brilliant play.
Edward, what have you got? Or maybe he doesn't need Edward. Maybe C's wants to do it all by himself. But Bolt, little does he know, he is surrounded. Edward behind, Seized in front. And oh my God, Bolt takes down Edward. It's down to a 1v1. And Seized, where are you going to go, buddy? You've got 37 seconds. 3 kills thus far for Seized. And Bolt with it all to do. Here's in. C's not seen him just yet. He's going to be sitting right down by ramp.
Yeah, he's not taking the duels, just playing the bomb as an extra man. There goes the smoke on it, so this is going to make C's a little nervous. Flushes him out of position, but Bolt, he's spamming away. Bolt, can you find the head? He's spraying away, giving him so low, but no kill quite yet. Can't get him on the jump back either.
He doesn't have a kid either, Bolts. He is struggling so badly. He knows time is up and it's time to run. Seized, saving the round on 3 HP, spraying into the bomb. He knows it's clear. And Na'Vi, by a whisker, picking up another.
2 rounds in a row now for Na'Vi, but neither of these wins have they had a member survive, so this buy is still so weak. This is a situation where you might just see Luminosity force buy into the round and say, we know your economy's low. I mean, we can just force buy these pistols, see what we can do. But even so, they don't invest into armor, they do upgrade some pistols, and all they have to do is keep doing damage, because Na'Vi's going to be right on the verge of resetting them, but Na'Vi just barely holding on in these rounds.
A bit of a wing and a prayer here at the moment, but Flamy will at least kick things off well, denying Luminosity that little bit of dash of aggression through the apartments. And now, slowly but surely, Na'Vi are taking themselves through this map, but it is very cautiously.
Yeah, they don't want to mess this one up. That's a nice shot from Guardian, so 5 on 3 now. No damage dealt by Luminosity quite yet. Looks like it's a good opportunity. Guardian's going to get into the window and find one more onto Fallen, so this is all Na'Vi in this anti-eco.
And that's a rifle removed as well. So Luminosity down to the Deagle and the USPS, and Steel's been caught off there. Peered out by Edward into Connector, and Caesar's going to go and get that bomb and probably start working towards A. But this is just a very cautious Na'Vi. There is no messing around here. This is, you know, checking every single corner, and I guess thus far you can see as to why. Yeah,
look at the money they have. 2 members on $0, Caesar's on 50, and Flamy and Guardian at 600. Losing even 1 weapon in this round would just be terrible. So this is very, very good from them, and hopefully, I mean, they're even overextending. Zeus is going for these kills.
Risky here, and you don't want to give those Deagles a chance. We know what they can do recently. And Cole just playing well. He's just playing around the corner. He knows if they want to chase this one out, he's going to have the shot on them. So let's see what Na'Vi do here pretty much. They're just kind of bunching up, trying to stay alive and not lose these rifles.
Yeah, so critical. And very quickly, this is what we talked about. As soon as they reset the economy, you can see just snaps right into a 6-3 scoreline. So right back into the match is Na'Vi. They do have all rifles, so not going to have an AWP into the next round, but this allows them to be very mobile. We saw that round just a couple rounds ago. They were very aggressive at the A ramp. They didn't have a lot of smokes to play with, so they just bully their way up there, win the duels, and there's Flamy one more time. And even Steel can't find anything. So now moving forward, Fallen's back on the AWP.
6-3 now. Na'Vi starting to build up, but still, as you said, money isn't going to be too flush for them just yet. You know, the Orb's not going to be coming out to play this round at least. Let's see what Fallen can do. Are they still going to be so audacious to go for the aggression? Yes, they are. Look at her again. Straight up mid here. Flamy and Edward will be at the top to green him if he actually goes for this, but he's just holding it back. He just keeping the map control here, and they've got 3 players basically dedicated to mid right now.
Yeah, complete mid control for Luminosity. They have underpass, they have top of mid spotted, they even have a player on catwalk ready to go. So Navi's denied a lot of information, a lot of mid control of whatever they would have wanted to do. Right now, they're just far back, waiting for any more of this pushes, but Luminosity's content with what they've got. But this is a nice call. I don't think anyone from Navi has actually spotted this out, but they may know what's coming because they're gearing up over towards this B hit, and there's only one player at B.
Yeah, this time, normally it's been 2 players out. Obviously, coldzera being on the site with Steel most of the time, but at the moment, Na'Vi running down the clock, kind of true to trend of what we know from these guys. Zeus does maybe just catch a glimpse of Fallen there. Certainly heard the AWP rattle off, so they might consider something's up at the moment. Fur and Cold might need to help out Steel right now. Edward is already in on the site, and Cold has done just that. Edward will fall. And now down to 5v4, slowly but surely. Luminosity again, just keeping hold of this one. Flamy's gone walkabouts, but that bomb is at B. And Fur is going all the way around the back. They don't know this, but there's still 2 players fairly close by.
It looks like they wanted to make that a little bit of a fake and head back to the underpass towards the A site. Nice kill from Guardian. That's going to open up the B site just a little bit more, but they still have Cold to deal with, and he's going to fall. Can't recover fast enough, so 3-on-3 situation.
Great stuff from Guardian coming through so far towards the side, but Fallen kicks him from the side, and now it's down to Seized and Flamy. And Flamy's pretty far away here. Seized needs to buy time. He picks up the 1-for-1 trade, but Flamy needs to get his running shoes on. That bomb is not really planted for him, if I'm seeing this correctly. He's going to have to commit to this. There's no kit as well. Flamy, can he take the fight? He takes down 1, but the bomb is still being defused. Flamy's going to know what's up. 2 seconds left. Bombs gets taken down, and Flamy saves the day.
Oh, Flamy, it's got to be a sigh of relief for him. He was so incredibly far away when that hit comes in. It was a 3-on-3, but with him all the way in the A site, it was virtually a 3-on-2. So Luminosity with that very fast retake. Na'Vi, another very close round, but this time it goes in their favor. Flamy not playing too passively, thinking that that first kill is going to get him off the defuse. So nice win, and he adds it on here, finds bolts early on.
There we go, Flamy starting to fire on all cylinders. That's a nice little pickup for him as well. 2 kills into this round. Bear in mind, Luminosity don't have much to work with, but Fur has recovered that rifle.
He could do a little bit more damage, or he could just choose to save it. He's over towards the B bomb site. But this is just Na'Vi. Look at what we're seeing. They have these positions. They found one who gets up into a position through window. They found one in connector. Zeus is pressuring over towards the B bomb site. Even on gun rounds, they're splitting the defense, and it's just wreaking havoc now against no armor. Fur looks like he wants to test a little bit with this AK, see if he can find 1 or 2. And Zeus is still just manning this crawl space.
Yeah, Fur's going to go for a little bit of a crouch peek. Stunning shot coming out. How the hell did he hit that? But Zeus will fall, and now Cold going to try and do the same towards A. Picks up the kill towards Flamy. It's back down to a 2v2. Now, Cold can't get a rifle at the moment. It's going to be pretty difficult unless he can get towards window. Fur going to be coming in as well from jungle now. They're looking for this one, but Edward in a great spot here. It's planted towards short, and he's going to be playing this out to the T. Let's see what he can do. Still 2 flashes. Still a lot to work with. Fur takes the fight. It's down to Guardian now. How have they turned this around? Guardian with it all to do for Na'Vi. He misses the shot. Up to the Glock. Goes for the shot. Gets 1. Tapped away. Cold. Says no, but there's no time.
Brilliant. Luminosity once again destroying everyone on the Na'Vi side, even getting away with an AK-47. So still this money situation for Na'Vi. Flamy's got over 10 grand, but still a little bit dicey. Luminosity doing so much damage, they're just not able to convert these. And it's that 1 kill from Cold. Fur's on his way to just save that AK-47. That 1 kill from Cold in the A. They're like, all right, we just get that. We brought it down. Let's just go for it. See what happens.
So damn close. So many rounds defined by the fact that they just didn't have a kit at the moment, and they couldn't afford it by that point. They were on eco rounds. They were on these shoddy buys. It wasn't the fact that they forgot, but let's see what Luminosity have in store this time. The scoreline is looking a little closer, though. Let's recap this. It's 6-5 now. Na'Vi have built up after the break of the economy coming out from Luminosity, but it is so back and forth here between these two. No one too comfortable just yet.
Yeah, if there's not a plant in this round from Na'Vi and they lose, they're going to be on a very, very weak bye. So both teams doing a great job not letting either team build up money through these winning streaks. And there's another find from Fallen. That's against Guardian, so he wins the op duel this round. A good advantage for Luminosity.
Still waiting to see where Na'Vi take this round. We're down to a minute, and they really haven't committed anyone with the bomb. They're kind of wrapping around towards A. But C's coming through, underpass, looking towards connector. Now, Fur was there, but he's backed away from this. And Luminosity, characteristically thus far, have been doing well in these rounds where they're just giving Na'Vi a little bit of mid. They're just saying, all right, you take that. We'll play from the sides. Now, this is different, though. They are slowly going towards B this time.
Yeah, and they've got C's in a good position. He's in middle. He was in the connector. He's fallen away from it, but he was trying to cut off some rotations. Now he's going to head up catwalk, try and split this B bomb site. Doesn't have a smoke, though, so it's going to be risky crossing over, and he spots one, finds Fur. Good kill. Delayed rotation towards the B side if he can get around this corner, because he's going to get peeked from behind very, very shortly. But it's going to be a 4-on-2 here at the B bomb site.
Oh, coldzera just spotted 1 leaping out, but Can he find anyone else? No, look at this play. Actually, he was still picking up. The crossfire worked out until Flamy walks in the door, kicks it down, but 9 seconds left. The bomb just about going down now. They're going for the challenge, they're trying to stop it. Seas is holding strong. That's one. Not going to follow up. It's down to the 1v1. Fallen against Flamy. Bomb ticking. And Fallen looking for an option here, looking for a pixel out of place. The M4 just to the left, and my God, they're just missing each other by a centimetre. And then faking the sound. Back and forth we go. He's going to spot him, but it's Flamy with 3 kills and the round.
Who was going to blink first in that? You could see, following with the kit, he was biding his time, trying to be patient, trying to see if Flamy was going to get a little antsy and peek around a corner. But Flamy doesn't blink, and then it just starts getting so low that Fallen's got to make the noise. So, nice win. We've seen a lot. I mean, you mentioned it. You want to see Flamy come into play, and he has here some important, crucial kills for him in all of these rounds throughout this streak. All of a sudden, it's tied up 6-6.
It seemed like it was a Luminosity show at the start of this match, but Na'Vi working out whatever they had to and building themselves into this game so well now. See what they can bring this time. Once again, slow, taking their time, but not putting as much attention towards mid, and Guardian starting to take a little bit of a peek towards... Oof. Bolts, you might not know what trouble you're in real soon. So he does take a little bit more of a passive approach to this one, but does give Guardian a bit more freedom.
There's not many operators in the world who would like to enter into the bomb site like this with an AWP up that A ramp on Mirage. So Guardian, do what you want, because you're just sick, and he's being very, very aggressive. Luckily, Luminosity, no one's really committed to any kind of battle at this range, but Bolts, if he swings out too far, might get his head taken off.
Yeah, let's remember, Fer is playing by Dark at the moment, so there's still a threat if Guardian does extend a little too far on this one. And he's checking it. He, you know, why wouldn't you at this point? But he is so aggressive in this. Look at this guy. He's looking to see if he can see him there. He's going to switch for the nade, doesn't get it. The flash gets popped out, but C's already taking the fight on it. Cold comes in finally from jungle, removes Guardian from this, bringing it back to that 4v4, but Fallen still standing, bringing Na'Vi back down.
Yeah, once again, no smoke in jungle, so Na'Vi gets punished trying to enter this bomb site. They haven't got it planted yet. Luminosity is going passive with the man advantage they have. They're just saying, let's not give this one up. So the bomb gets planted. 2 members going to come from CT's, 3 members from CT spawn. Z's sprays one down, can't get the second, Fallen bails him out. And now it's up to Flamy and Zeus.
And Zeus is nowhere to be found, and Fallen is just breaking into this site. And Zeus left in the 1v1 here. And he's not going to have a chance. And Coldzera says no. And it'll be finally Luminosity breaking the trend.
Perhaps even breaking the economy. It's going to be, with this plan, it's going to help Na'Vi out a lot, but heading into the last few rounds here, going to be a little bit of a dicey situation. So very good from Luminosity. I mean, they do give up a lot in a row, 6 rounds in a row, but they keep the money low, so this is going to be a buy, but it's going to be a little bit light on nades. You can see Zeus on the Tech 9, so he can have a Molotov. He doesn't even get a smoke. And that's kind of, that was kind of the Achilles heel of that last round, was no smoke in jungle, so it allows Cold to be very effective.
I don't want to give this guy too much of a chance, and finally seeing what we kind of alluded to a little bit earlier on, the double AWP going to play. Coldzera going to be picking that up. Now he decides to solo out the B site, so maybe this is something they adjust accordingly, but it doesn't matter right now. Luminosity are going to be dealing with Na'Vi, pouring in towards this A site. Fer and Bolts creating the crossfire perfectly, has the chance to follow up, but Fer will chime in with one more, and Na'Vi being swept aside as Guardian finally gets a rifle to hand. It gets taken away.
Yeah, that force bite is absolutely nothing for Na'Vi. And now it's the last round of the half, so not too much to buy. Going to be another similar situation. They have some Tech 9s on the board. Nicely done from Fer over towards Connector, finds a gap in the smoke and is able to stall out that attack. So 8-6 for Luminosity, looking, and they got the advantage into the next half. It's been the Fallen show. He's at 20-6.
Massive play. Once again, it looks like Na'Vi were looking towards A to begin with here. They are lined up for these smokes towards A, and as you said, missing a couple of pieces towards the puzzle and leaving a gap in there has allowed several opportunities for Luminosity to get back in this, but it looks like they want to speed things up here, flashing towards those smokes, but no one playing close enough to even be caught by this thus far. Bolts and Fallen playing so far back here.
Yeah, and their smokes, once again, they block off jungle and stairs, but there's a gap towards connectors. They're going to have to swing and take this fight. Maybe that's their plan. Maybe they say, we've isolated him, let's try and duel him, but it's Fallen with the AWP. So now he gets smoked out. Bomb still hasn't been planted, though.
Curiously done there. Edward is going to get that one down. It looks like a plant possibly for sure, but C's been picked up, so this is even harder. Fallen finding Flamy, and now 3 players left for Na'Vi. It's not going well this round. They've got the plant, but it's not going to be enough unless Edward can recover a rifle and start things off. Bomb still ticking, though. Edward catching out Bolts. It's getting a little closer now, but it's down to the 2v2. Excuse me, 2v3. It's first to be the first man in towards his Guardian, gets challenged down, and there we go. Fallen found Zeus up in A Palace, and the defuse should be coming in.
Story of this half for me is the retakes from Luminosity out of that A bomb site throughout this whole half were great. There was that stretch that was really rough. Na'Vi found a lot of success. Get up towards 6 rounds, which is a very nice terrorist half, especially with the fact that they lost pistol. But just the retakes on that A site for Luminosity, if they didn't get cleaned out, if they didn't just get crushed on the entrance from Na'Vi, very, very poised and structured on the retakes. It was good, very effective stuff.
So let's kind of discuss the initial points of the desk we're making about this game and kind of led into what the key factors or the win conditions were for both sides. What are we taking out of it from this first half, at least?
Guardian is at 8-14, did not have a lot of success, but it was Flamy coming into play. Yep. There's also C's, who are those two kind of, you know, X factors on Na'Vi. You know, the guys who either can sometimes come to play and have huge impact, and sometimes, you know, they kind of fade off. Well, they showed up to play here in the first half, 12 for C's, 14 for Flamy, but it's all about Fallen at 22 kills. He was the one coming in here who had a couple rough performances at tournaments. He's turned it around here at IEM.
That's a massive scoreline to be putting up in the first half here in this best of 3. Reminding ourselves once again, Overpass will be coming up next, and that would be Na'Vi's choice. And after that, it will be Inferno, but one half still to go. Let's see what they have to bring now, switching things over.
I think it's going to be interesting to see the difference in the terror sides, because Na'Vi, you know, they didn't go for this heavy mid control all the time. You know, they played a little bit passively. They had a couple rounds where they got players in position, but overall, it wasn't kind of those op battles we see towards mid. You know, we didn't get to catch too much of that action. Perhaps because Guardian couldn't always afford the AWP. I mean, they went on that 6-round streak largely by just punishing light buys in the economy of Luminosity, so we didn't have to worry about that too much.
A lot on the line here between these two to get off to a good start. Luminosity could definitely need this to keep that momentum going. This is their choice. This is their map pick. Now it's down to see what they can do on their T side. I'm excited by this. I want to see if Na'Vi go for that touch of aggression here and there, but we are underway into the second half of the first map at IEM San Jose between Luminosity and Na'Vi. And already, I'll be seeing Luminosity lining things up towards mid.
Fallen's in A Palace with all the utility, with all the nades to work with. So very curious that his team's on the other side of the map. They're going to come towards mid, and now they're streaking out. No one's seen them yet. Here come the flashes, but Zeus is close up. He's going to get that kill, but are they prepared for this aggression through connector? Fur jumps up. He doesn't clear his corners, but Guardian can't get anything.
All right, it's Flamy and Zeus, the ones closest to A, but Boz did catch Edward on the rotate, and somehow this stack coming out from Luminosity was paying off until then. And look at this play from Flamy coming out. He's done so much already, and Zeus closes down, and Na'Vi retaking that well and just controlling Luminosity.
Gaining control of that palace as the CT allowed, once Luminosity came up connector, they're just in that triangle of doom. One in jungle, one in CT spawn, one in palace, and they don't know which one's shooting at them, so they just get blasted by Flamy out in the open. Really nice pistol round from Na'Vi. Doesn't pan out for Luminosity.
Wow, almost full SMG buyout coming out from Na'Vi. We do have the Phallus coming out for Guardian to try and keep control of mid, but we are seeing the Tech 9s to CZs, just about everything else from Luminosity, and why not? It's going to be C's to be maybe getting a little bit of a present coming through that smoke very, very soon if they do go for this.
Oh, this nade.
This could hurt. Yeah,
this could hurt a lot. Gets a little bit absorbed by the shelf of all things, but no big deal.
Shelf
no.
MVP.
Here comes the execution.
Yeah, all right, C's, let's see what you got. Your nade wasn't as good as we'd hoped, but maybe that MP7 will pick up the slack, but maybe not. He does have backup there. The UMP going to come out from Edward, and that's going to do a little bit of damage, but Luminosity have bullied their way in. The bomb is yet to get on site, but there we go. There's Fallen, there's Steel, and suddenly Na'Vi are falling to pieces.
Yeah, over-aggression from Guardian, but now Steel gets caught out. Here's the P90 from Flamy, trying to find the kills, trying not to remain too aggressive, but that forces Steel in the open, so down to a 2-on-2. And there is no kits, but there are some to pick up right around the bomb site. Zeus grabs it and a headshot. One more on Halls, but he's so low. He's going to smoke off the bomb. He's got to have cover from his teammate. Fallen, what can you do with this P250? Finds that kill. Can he find it with the smoke? Not in time. Zeus is going to get it.
Huge stuff from Na'Vi coming out then. That was once again down to the wire. These two teams are so closely met at the moment. You can't split them. 9-8. Wow. That was so many small pieces coming together at the right time, then Steel overextending a little bit. Luminosity losing out on a couple of trades then, and of course the defuse coming out at the right time with the kit being picked up of one of his dead teammates. But at this time, Luminosity just going back into the fray, just not had enough of the fire. They want a little bit more and seized. Getting a little bit of a challenge early, but not going to see too much, but they are waiting.
Yeah, they like how that last B hit went, so they're going to go right back at it. And that's a very deep smoke. Sees though, there's a nice angle. He can spot the feet, just spray through. Here come the nades over again.
Oh, this could get real painful. Nice little flash, though. That will at least push him away, but there's that flash. It's going to catch him as well. 3 players now singled out. He gets down at least a couple, 2 coming through, but there's the rest of Na'Vi cleaning up, and the bomb left on the balcony and cold. Zera going to try and do something with the Deagle, but not going to have too much luck here as Edward just leaping up and down, trying to do some damage. Pinned in, trying to fight his way out of this, 12 HP. But this is surely not going to go well. Guardian closes it down, and Na'Vi bringing themselves back into this game here.
9-9, but they have taken some decent damage throughout those 2 rounds. So their economy isn't going to be the most solid. Guardian with the AWP in his hands, and Fallen does not have it on the Terra side quite yet. So they have all AK-47s. They can be a little bit more mobile. They have plenty of smokes to work with into this round. It looks like they're going to set up Cold and Fallen very aggressively, want to come out mid. Guardian can't land the initial shot.
Might see if Luminosity can take that mid control and actually do something with it. Edward being forced away from actually being able to challenge down from short there, which let's see how Luminosity work this one through, because there's still so much up in the air. The smokes are still kind of keeping Na'Vi at bay, but once those dissipate, we could see something happening. Zeus going to be adjusting off the back of that. Bolt's not having much luck either in those A-apps. So Luminosity have mid control. I just want to see what they do with it now.
Right, this is a similar situation to what Na'Vi got. I mean, they have someone in connector. They've got Fur and connector just waiting for the smoke to disappear before he tries to get aggressive. But Cold, Edward was not ready for that. Cold grabs the angle from beneath and just eliminates him.
That's a big difference. Bearing in mind, Luminosity rarely played someone on short. They were always double stacking out on that B site. So already a bit of a start coming through.
A nice pop flash for Flamy, but he doesn't look to his right, doesn't clear it. Sprays, he can't recover. Bolts is going to win that fight. It looked unlikely, but now Luminosity, 5-on-3. They're poised to hit this B bomb site any second, and there's only one member defending at that site. So this is going to be very, very dangerous. That's going to be C's. He's all alone over there. Zeus and Guardian heavily dedicated over towards A.
Let's see what C's can do. He has to either find the information, do something to hold him back, try and make some sort of impact here, because Luminosity are working their way through. That is a perfect start, though. Steel being called out. Fallen gets challenged, but Fallen breaks in. Now, we've got Zeus trying to pick up the slack, but it doesn't matter. Luminosity just flex themselves throughout the map and lock it down. Great play, showing what you can do with that mid-control.
Yeah, so many early wins, so many early finds, and there's nothing really Na'Vi can do. You know, even if they want to rotate, they've got so far to go with Luminosity members ready to pounce and cut that off. So really, really nice play in that first gun round. And now because of all the damage they did on the second and third rounds, Na'Vi can't buy, they're out of money. So this is going to be a good chance for Luminosity to extend that lead, get a little bit ahead with 2 rounds to go.
Let's see what Na'Vi can bring here. We saw the damage that can be done with just these pistols previously. A bit of a stack towards A, trying to catch anyone out, recover a rifle, do something with it, but no one really playing to that game. You got Cold Zera kind of in mid, but outside of that, Na'Vi now kind of working out where these guys are heading towards. Whether or not they commit, though, going to be the next big thing, but Luminosity are heading through here. The stack is en route, but it's a long way off.
Yeah, very long way off. And there is one member isolated middle. They might just go for him. That's going to be Cold. They do drop him. They can find an AK-47. That would be really nice if they're able to hang on to it throughout the end of this round. And look at Bolts. He looks like he wants to go hunting, but Zeus is in a pretty decent spot to cut that off. And actually, they're not even able to get the AK-47 quite yet. So Fallen returns to recover it, but there's Zeus. Finds that kill eventually, traded off by Bolts. Nicely done from LG.
Yeah, and Luminosity actually went all the way back. Still went for a little bit of a walk all the way through towards T-spawn. He went all the way through, just making sure that B site wasn't stacked out. They weren't going to get too much pressure until the other players did get the information, get those kills in. And now Flamy left a million miles away from anywhere that he can do anything with. He's got the CZ to hand, but I doubt he's going to find much in this spot.
No, he's just going to hang out. Maybe someone goes chasing. Maybe he can find an AK-47 that way. But the real question into the next round, Guardian, he can have an AWP if he wants. It's going to be strained. It might not have too much utility behind it, but they have some good money to surround that with some smokes and some M4s with armor. But that's going to be the big thing. Can he get that in play? Because it wasn't effective the first time he had it. Luminosity, this is a little bit scary now because they had at that point where they could start running away. This next gun round for Na'Vi is so crucial.
And I'm curious to see what Luminosity bring into these rounds now. They are starting to win themselves these, the battles that they need. They've been hitting that B side, taking over mid-control, something we didn't really see out of Na'Vi when they were on the full buy. We maybe saw like one round coming off the back of that. So a little bit of a little bit of flavor coming out from Luminosity, but we do see the buyout coming out from Guardian. No armor to be seen either.
He's going to take it over towards window, which is where he was last time. This time, Luminosity, they're poised to do the same take. Cold is going to jump across. Guardian jumps out. Has a small opportunity but can't capitalize. But meanwhile, Luminosity, 4 members towards this B bomb site. They want to bully it very quickly. And once again, it's only going to be seized, and he falls immediately to Fur. Nice shot, nice opening into the B site.
About to flood themselves in here. Edward smoked out as well. Perfect wall of smokes coming to play. Something that these beautiful rounds, these set pieces just work so well. And Guardian being challenged down. He has no armor, bearing in mind. He can't take these fights. Cold Zera holding down mid as well. This set piece has just worked perfect.
Yeah, it's going to be a save if they even can. Cold He's just saying, no save for you. He recovers, but can't bring out the gun in time. Flamy does find that kill, but he's not much longer. They're going to surround him from so many different angles. Guardian adds one onto it, but Luminosity can afford to take these losses. Their only goal, oh, nice shot from Guardian. Still alive, but they can afford these losses. They just want to get this gun out of his hands, and he's being pinched. He's trapped in Palace now.
Both angles being locked down, being forced into the eyes of Fallen. The man so desperate to get that up away from him, but let's see if that chance is going to work out. He does have the Tech 9 out, and he whiffs the shot. Guardian almost staying alive, and Fallen says no. And Luminosity looking dominant now on that T side once they got those guns in their hands.
Yeah, they have complete control of this half now and this entire map. They're up 12-9. Navi's got to save one more. There's not even a force buy they could make that would do anything about this. So Luminosity looking good so far on Mirage, 12-9, and one more gun round perhaps for Navi.
This should be a crushing round as well, bearing in mind these B hits have been perfectly done, but this is a switch up now. We've got a little bit of a different play. Taking their time, they know the economy coming up from Navi is going to be in tatters. They don't want to risk it just going in towards a stack site. They're just going to play throughout the map. You've still got Cold in mid, you've still got, you know, Fur kind of working around those apartments, but they're just not committing off the back straight away. And
it's a B stack. Like this is going to be something where if Luminosity smells this out, they can just go right back over towards A. They still have bolts and Fur, but Guardian just deletes bolts from the map. So all of a sudden that opens up the possibility. They are going to probe over towards B. 4 members here. They're getting pushed back just a little bit. They're stalled out. They can't make any progress.
Yeah, and Fur not really getting much information on A either. He's on the way as well. This is something getting a little bit dangerous. Seas and Edward are both here. Yeah,
that one kill by Guardian just destroyed any idea that Luminosity had. Now they're going to reconvene over towards B, but someone's pushing up mid. Guardian once again.
Yeah, Guardian could catch out Fur here on the rotate as well. This could keep options open. He's been waiting for this opportunity. He gets it. Fur goes down, and Guardian now is going to get, a world of trouble, but a lot of information to follow. Cold Zero will pick him up, but that's going to open up opportunities here for Na'Vi to do more damage. They've recovered a rifle on toward Flamy, but Edward here spots out 3 towards mid, and Luminosity are running out of options. They have to, pick one of these sites. 23 seconds, and Zeus is going to be the man to make first contact on this B play. Great damage done. He gets down 2 in the end, and Flamy finds a 3rd. Stunning stuff from Na'Vi, and especially Guardian.
What a recovery. Yeah, Guardian starting things out really, really well with that deagle. And look at this, Zeus just mows him down, even combines with Flamy, who finds over towards Connector. Really, really well done. And they had to pick. They know they were coming mid, but it's like, are they going to go Cat, or are they going to go Connector? And it's luckily fortunate that Zeus is there to have that great performance, double spray down.
You said the spiral effect that could have come off the back of that would have been massive, and Guardian, that smoke, my God, by the grace of God, he just got out of that. That was down to the wire, what, 7 HP? Jeez.
Right, but they neutralize him. Now he's got to be a little bit more passive. He's not going to want to be super aggressive with this AWP, so early damage dealt to a critical player, and Zeus toying with the edge of smoke right now, going to try and find one. He does get challenged a little bit. Oh, Fur's not ready for this. Fur not paying attention. Zeus going to get one more. He jumps up at the end there. Fallen finds that kill, equalized now.
Zeus was the linchpin in holding back Luminosity from pincering in towards this A site. You've got Flamy and Guardian playing from CT, but Seas was a little far away from holding in jungle, but Guardian is keeping eyes trained on the push out there. He's going to catch out bolts, and piece by piece, Luminosity are not putting this one together, and it's going to be down just to Steel, who's kind of trapped in his position, as Julie noted. The bomb's a mile away, and he's really hoping to get out of here somehow.
Yeah, Navi's doesn't really have the money to chase anything like that. Neither does Steel. I mean, he's got to kind of try and find a kill. 30 seconds left. His team's broke. They're going to be on an eco the next round. He could go for one more kill. And actually, with him being that close, Edward, he's going to take the peek. Can't find it. This is a good defensive stand from Na'Vi after that eco win. Such a crucial round to win. And Seas gets caught out in the open. So some more damage done to Na'Vi. They can't really afford this.
Yeah, they do need to be a little bit frugal with their cash at the moment. They are running on a little bit of fumes, but Steel does seem as though he's going to be able to keep this one alive. The last 2 players not willing to run the gauntlet right now, and Na'Vi, when the backs are to the wall, they do find this sort of form that does become a little bit dangerous, but you feel constantly the Luminosity are getting so close in these rounds.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. It's been like this the whole match, and even the analyst desk was saying, Henry, I believe it was, said this is going to come down to just clutch after clutch, and some of these rounds are showing exactly why, but Na'Vi holding strong. Just when all seemed lost, they come out with that miracle win with just the pistols. And now Guardian seems to be getting into it a little bit as well. Even with that op, even with red HP, is at like 7. He's still taking peaks, still taking battles when he thinks he has the advantage.
All right, Luminosity, you don't have a lot to work with here. Tech 9's a lot of smokes, though, and it looks like a set piece towards A coming out from them. Fur all the way off on the other side. Steel does have the rifle, remember, so he can do a lot more than the others, in theory. But we do have Zeus and Flamy playing fairly close at the moment.
Navi's taken a lot of damage in some of these eco rounds that Luminosity comes out with. So they've got to be very careful because still heading into the later stages of this match, they're not settled in. They can't lose too many players, and it's going to be an A hit from Luminosity. They're dedicated to it, and Navi just rotated a player off the bomb site.
Guardian backing away, maybe considering that B site is going to be the option, and they are falling for this one. Smokes are going to come down. Zeus is suddenly going to be panicking. He's been smoked out of dark. He can just about see the feet as they do pitter-patter past him, but he's going to be waiting this one patiently. Flamy will at least find bolts as Cole going to go for the peek there. Zeus still negated in this one. He knows they're close. He desperately wants to get into this one, but coldzera already finding Flamy is going to make this one a little more dangerous. Ooh, considering the plant then, but Zeus, he's still here, and he's completely surrounded, but he's finally starting to break out of it. Nice work from Zeus. Waited so long, but the damage is being done, but now it's just down to Fur.
30 seconds left, coming through CT spawn. He could have been in a very deadly position to help out if he had a teammate alive, but Zeus is so good. Just hiding behind that smoke underneath the balcony, so patient. And that takes such guts to have that kind of a poison in that kind of spot. So really, really nicely done from him. He pounces at the right time, bails his team out of a good spot. Luminosity can't get a plant, so you can see Bolts has a Galil, Fur only has a Tech 9. Steel's only got a Deagle to work with this round.
Yeah, not a great deal, and this has been the battle of the economies, both being broken backward and forward here, but it seems as though Na'Vi stabilizing towards the end of at least the first map at the moment, but things can still change. And Luminosity looking for their options now. Once again, looking for some form of mid-control to begin with, but Flamy going to be going hunting, already looking for that little bit of aggression down towards around. Fur trying to get himself through connector already, Zeus backing away. This is a real back and forth game here.
Right, but this is the strategy that Luminosity just crushed Na'Vi with earlier in the half. Gain mid-control, Fur's in the connector. And these are the positions in where it just went all downhill for Na'Vi. So scary situation. Cold's not going to be able to find that opening kill above the ladder, but still in very, very good spots to cut off rotations and catch players out of the position.
And the irony being, this looks a lot like how Luminosity played their CT side with these kind of stacks towards B, leaving maybe just one towards A and a couple maybe in connector, but the boost comes out on Edward. If only he knew how close he was here. Fallen and coldzera centimeters apart at this point, and they're going to spot one out, but they won't expect a second. Edward going to close it down, and the threat that was in that ladder room has been removed. But here comes the rest of Luminosity, looking towards B. Seas has been a consistent presence here, but will they commit?
It looks like no, and also possibly because Fur's making a call. He's saying, I just heard him rotate off. Now he's going to get aggressive. He's trying to find space for them to work with. Flamy's still over in CT spawn. Guardian coming through. He could get caught really off guard. He's got his knife out. Free kill for Fur. That opens things up, and he even gets away. So it's all on Flamy now. He's got to hold strong at the ticket booth, trying to spam away, trying to find some of these kills. Plays it a little bit more passively as this bomb goes down.
Bomb did go down towards short. Seas at least did take down Bolts, but it's in this 2v3 and it's close. But it's just Fur now in the right position. Oh my word, he takes down Edward. The bomb is still for him. It's Flamy up against Fur. Flash comes in, Flamy is hunting this one down. He doesn't have a great deal of time, and Fur gets it. That is 4 kills. Fallen had the limelight and Fur just took it back. That was massive from Luminosity.
Yeah, what a ridiculous round from Fur. What a hero play he just makes. Finds the initial kill to give him space to work with. Picks up an AWP and recovers while falling down the stairs. And then repositions himself on catwalk. It's so beautifully done, and Na'Vi have just got to just kicking themselves. That round was theirs.
Everything was going so right until Fur turned up. Now Luminosity have everything back in their hands to some degree in comparison to the Mag 7 and a very limited amount of utility for the CT side now. Looking for those opening opportunities, somehow trying to swing this round in any way to their favor. Fur isn't going to be the man to start it off. It's Guardian being vigilant from short. Going to get one, get a second. coldzera goes down. Third for Guardian. The bastion of hope for Na'Vi still standing tall, leaving just 2 alive for Luminosity.
Yeah, single-handedly just crushing this round. Luminosity goes for mid-control. There's Edward getting aggressive as well, but Guardian's like, all right, take mid-control. I'm just going to bring my op over to catwalk. You guys haven't seen this angle out of me yet this match. I'm just going to punish you for everything that you're trying to take. Really, really well done. And now Luminosity, losing this round, their economy's going to be reset. They're going to have a very, very weak buy, and it's going into the later stages now where they can't afford to be giving up round saving, but they have to.
A superb matchup between these guys, and we are going to have a pause coming out. This is an actual pause, bearing in mind they need to talk this through. Things have been going so back and forth here. What can you say in these moments? What changes this? Because it seems like it's down to such small things. How can you define that here?
You're going to have to come up with something, because now it seems like Na'Vi's figured out, that mid control setup that was so effective early on. They've kind of, you know, gone away from the things that got punished there. So Luminosity gonna have to come up with a new tactic. And here's the big thing is they went out, they saw Edward with the AWP at the end of the last round, so now there's a double op setup on the board. So Navi's got their own switch. And here's, you know, Maniac had a long talk about the save rounds and how you don't want to call your pause when you're immediately going to go into a save or a half buy. You want to have it on your gun round. But this is actually kind of interesting that the pause comes out now, because Luminosity, with just pistols that they have to take pretty much, they can actually do a little bit of probing, figure out where this double op setup is going to be. You know, is it going to be split in the B bomb site and Guardian towards mid? Is someone going to have a, you know, B bomb site and over towards CT spawn stairs? So there's a little bit of information that Luminosity can try and go gather this next round with which to move forward.
Yeah, and speaking of orbs, this round was massive from Guardian again. You know, this guy just delivers every single time these questions get asked, and picking up that final on Fur as well. It's just the perfect read. He knew exactly what Luminosity were doing. He didn't really play short that much as well. So these are really late game switch-ups that Guardian's been bringing out to really pull this one back for his side.
Oh, he saw Fur work some magic with the op in that clutch that he had, and he's like, no, I'm the opper in the server. I'll take it over from here.
It was a little bit back and forth. It does seem as though Luminosity have had their chat. They've discussed what they feel may be enough here to work out that Na'Vi puzzle, but still, this is going to be a very tough round coming up. This one shouldn't be theirs, but as you said, it could be a probing one between the two. Just seeing if maybe Luminosity can get a little bit more information.
Looks like just a full-blown B-rush when all else fails. And this also might just be a round they say, all right, we talked about what we want, let's just get to it, throw away, here come the nades. Not going to catch him off guard, do decent damage. There's C's in the back with that Galil, sprays a couple down. He does eventually get traded off, but Guardian and Zeus are here to pick up the slack.
Yeah, they shouldn't fall at the moment, but coldzera has still got 2 kills, picked up an AWP. Oh my word, do not re-peek that window. There's someone deadly waiting, and Zeus finally removes the threat, but you've got to worry when someone like coldzera is starting to hit those shots, but still, that still got closer than it should have been.
Yeah, any kills that Luminosity can get as well, just keep the money low. Maybe they reset the economy coming up at the end and going into the last round. They give themselves an advantage, but it's all onto this buy. Luminosity, this is what the pause was for, this tactic, and what are they going to bring out? Guardian,
They need so much right now. This is different from Luminosity, though.
It is very much different. They're committed over towards. Here's this pop flash. Flamy, he's gonna catch him off guard. He peeks down, he finds 1 kill, but here they are streaming out to trade it off. Flamy, can he get away? Finds some cover, but Zeus bails him out. Him and Flamy get a couple and down to a 3-on-2.
Suddenly things are looking a little bit dire for Luminosity. There's pressure coming from everywhere. Bolts somehow removes Guardian as a threat, and now through connected, coldzera looking the wrong way, but still takes down Edward. It's all to seize. He closes down Bolts. He knows where coldzera is, and that nade just not finding its placing. And he's having a bit of a mare here, Seize, but still, 1 bullet could do this pretty much. He's going to switch up to the rifle. 10 in the clip.
He's having some troubles with these grenades right now.
A little bit.
Yep. Down to this 1-on-1 though. He knows exactly where Cold is, over towards jungle. And there's the jump. Seize is going to punish him for it. So despite the grenade issues, he does come out on top to give him map point.
Even Flamy just kind of like grinning him like, at least you got it in the end.
It wasn't
right?
pretty, and all that matters is you win.
There. Exactly, 13-15 now. Na'Vi on the verge of picking up map 1. Let's remind ourselves, this was Luminosity's choice coming into this. The second is going to be Overpass, which is Na'Vi's pick. So things could get a little dangerous very, very quickly here for the Brazilians if it keeps going this way. But let's see what they can do. They have a far from ideal purchase into this one.
Yeah, they're going at double up setup. 3 Molotovs as well on the board for Na'Vi. Plenty of ways to just block off these choke points, deal damage before Luminosity's even able to get into the bomb site. So Na'Vi sitting pretty, heavy emphasis on mid. 2 members at the top of the connector, and one's actually, that's Edward. He's pushed halfway up catwalk. He's just saying, we see nothing mid. That's why they're able to have 3 members over towards the A bomb site.
Luminosity going for those kind of last-ditch plays, these very late in the game executions, these set pieces. You're going to see those smoke starting falling in. No body block going to come out. They tried to block it on towards jungle stairs, and actually I think that might have worked. He's given Guardian the peek here. He's going to get it. Bolts goes down. This is massive for Na'Vi. They should be able to lock this round down, and Guardian is punishing. Nothing to be done here as Na'Vi just tighten that noose, and Luminosity staring this round down. There's not much left to do here for Steel.
Yeah, it was attempted fake, but hey, nothing. Everything gets shut down, so the bomb gets spotted out. Seized is here. He's just going to molly off the plant spot, buy more time. And he's just waiting for the rotations to come in. And now, Steel's got to find this kill, but there's really not too much left in the end. Not even finding those. All of Na'Vi is here now to combine for that last kill. 16-13, Na'Vi survived a grind-out match.
Yeah, it was no easy feat. Both of these teams had to work extraordinarily hard. Let's remind ourselves, 13-16. And we said this from the start. And I can imagine we'll be saying to the finish, these two teams will be having these close scorelines. It will be defined on so many small rounds, small things. Even these clutches coming up so many times and delivering so many times for Na'Vi in the end.
And you think about how many clutches, how many times teams are whittled down to 1 or 2 players in round. Even Na'Vi, the first few rounds, whittled down to 0 in their gun rounds. Such an economic game. You know, everything is dictated by how much money was available to these teams. And Navi's just able, I mean, here's the thing. Guardian, not the best match we've seen him, but when he was needed, he blew up. He came up so huge. Triple kills on rounds that were crucial for them to win.
And I love just the amount of variety that man brought to that game. He would never seem to be running out of ideas as to how to meet the Luminosity guys. And let's see what Luminosity can do kind of on the reset now. They have the chance to go back, think things through coming into map 2. And of course, I think that's enough of what we think about the match. Let's hear from the experts.
Thanks very much, Pansy and Moses. A fantastic first map to kick this series off. Mirage, you guys said it was going to be a close one, and it couldn't have been much closer. Just closed out by Na'Vi in the end. We started with a good point from Henry, where you kind of said that, you know, initially when they kind of approached the game as Keydstars, they were kind of a trendsetter. The Mirage was seen as their strongest map by far, by a long shot. And did we see glimmers of the Keydstars Mirage?
Well, the way the game started off, it looked like all signs were pointing to yes at that stage. They go up 6-0. They have a really fantastic start there, but then all of a sudden, the clutches come in. We call that's going to be a big factor there, these one-on-one situations. Had they have actually won that 7th round there, that could have been a 14-1 going forward. Like, it was just the economy game proving so strong. Na'Vi bouncing back there. Flamy going absolutely huge in those clutch situations. It was a real pleasure to watch. We called it at the start. This game was going to be high-octane Counterstrike, and it delivered on all points there. Really exciting one to watch, and it was disappointing for Luminosity in the end there. They kind of lose out towards the end. Obviously, the economy not really working out for them, but yeah, I'm happy Na'Vi won that. I think obviously it's good signs them going forward. That's Luminosity's pick, and Luke going down 6-0 and being able to bounce back and come into it, that's really impressive.
It is impressive, and you talked about 1v1s and how prominent they were. We've got a great example of that 1v1 you wanted to highlight with the smoke, so it goes about 6 or 7 rounds in.
So here we go. So we've got Bolts here. He makes the perfect play here. He's in one-on-one. Up against the ropes, has a smoke grenade to play with. He's very low HP here, and it looks like C's has got this round tied up. That smoke comes down, and I love this. He doesn't go for the defuse, he baits it out a little bit, and this is the moment here. Could have taken it.
Oh my
this
God.
is such a defining point of the game. That spray, all he had to do is kind of just tap and take it easy, but he went for the full-on spray there, and unfortunately has to bail at that point. It just shows you like how much pressure is in these situations. That would have been the round to reset the economy, right? 6-1 at that point. That would have put them back on to $1,400, and they really could have run away with the game at that stage. They didn't, and that's when Na'Vi came back and brought it 6-6. Those kind of rounds is what the little nuances people kind of overlook sometimes that really make these games so close. That was a really exciting point for me.
It's the money game, isn't it, Matthew?
Yeah, and also I want to point out, I've been talking about experience and the importance of experience in that kind of game. And I think when we realize how many clutches there were into this game, and clearly Na'Vi had the upper hands in that kind of clutches. And I think for me, it's the clear sign they were the more experienced on the server, and they were the one managing the pressure in those one-on-one. For example, we've seen that one-on-one between Fallen and Flamy just dancing into each other, you know. And for me, it's just a clear sign that from experience won Na'Vi the first map, quite clearly.
Absolutely, and of course their opponent, you highlighted Fallen. I didn't realize just how successful his first half was. 22 for 6.
That's the thing.
In
So
the first half.
we talked about his lineup between Guardian and Fallen going into this one. The first half, Guardian, it wasn't a horrible performance. We only had, what, 8 frags in the first half?
8 for 14, yeah.
He came alive in the second half, but Fallen definitely won the battle in the first half. He gets a 20 bomb. He kind of fell off in the second half a little bit. He went to, I think it was like 26 in the end, but Guardian, that's when his time to shine in the second half. He was having those big vital rounds. A 3-man on short. It was one. I hope we get a replay of that. That was
the Guardian play.
That was really nice.
And didn't that also cause a topsy-turvy with the money again?
Exactly.
Yeah, actually, one of the things, very nice luxury you have when you have Guardian in your team is that round, when you picked the 4 kills, was actually a force buy from Na'Vi. I mean, they had an AVP, but they had maybe like 5-7s or like, max 7 scouts and stuff. Yeah. So if you have one player with enough money to buy an AVP, you can just force it, even though your money situation is quite bad. And then Guardian just shows up, gets 4 kills, and suddenly the money situation gets reversed, and you got the upper hand. So that's the privilege of having Guardian in your team.
We haven't heard from you yet, Janko. You've kind of been the quiet sentinel in the corner.
I feel this map was a good example of and a good showing from both teams on their T sides, having a obvious game plan. Like you could see on the Luminosity's T side that they went for that mid control we talked about in one round, and they won a round. In the next gun round, they went for the same smoke, same flashes, but they rotated 4 people towards B apps. And Fur got a crazy headshot on the guy jumping, on the CT jumping, but they also had smoked off towards short, because Edward reacted on the call that the same smokes were falling down. He reacted by pushing short. He was cut off then from his teammate to B. Even if they didn't kill him with that crazy headshot, they would probably trade it 1-for-1 or 1-for-2. They would have a 4v4 or a 3v4 after plant in the B side, which is still winnable for the T. So you can see those, you know, those mind games, those little intricacies, you know, how the in-game leaders try to outsmart each other. It was a real close game. Navi won the majority of the clutches, as Matthew pointed out, due to their experience, most of all, and then just Guardian showed up in that one round and said, I can do that.
I can do that.
Got it in there.
There you go.
And won the map basically for Navi with that round.
Of course, that was just map 1. I realize we've got a little carried away with Mirage. We haven't got too much time to talk about Overpass. So I need to get better at this. I need a stopwatch. But
there was so much to talk
about. That was
an
action-packed Mirage. Yeah. So let's just dig into Overpass nice and quickly. Starting with you, Matthew. Actually, Henry, to be fair, you're like keen to go.
No, I'm just saying that this is the map that Luminosity have got an uphill struggle on. Navi, but definitely one of the best teams in the world on this one. So aggressive. Guardian, obviously one of the most pivotal players on this one. His CT AWPing can be absolutely phenomenal. Very dynamic, pushing up middle, getting in their faces, going to long. He always seems to hit that shot on the players jumping across. Luminosity need to step up here. Obviously, Fallen is firing on all cylinders today. That's going to be an interesting battle. Cold Zera, another influential player on this map, especially on the T side.
Wasn't too present on Mirage, was he? I mean, he was
I think he had a decent posting.
I
can't remember any really exciting moments for him, but he always has a solid performance. I think Overpass is one of the maps he can kick off on as well. I do predict 2-0 for Navi, though.
Because of that win from Navi on Mirage. What about you, Matthew? You seen this one going?
Yeah, well, point out that I totally agree with Henry. And Navy is a tough team to play as T on Overpass, because what they would do is that they would push you, be very aggressive, most likely pick the kills, have them 5v4, and then they would back off to the sides and just lock it. It's impossible to get back once you get like 4-on-5. So I also think that's going to be a clear 2-0 for Navi on this map.
Navi, of course, favorites for the Overpass. Yanko, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree that they're the favorites. I believe that it's going to be a close match like Mirage. The clutches are going to determine the winner again. I wouldn't be surprised if Luminosity manages to take it. I think they're prepared for Navi, so I expect another close game, and I hope we get to a third map. So
yeah, I would love a third map, especially that third map being Inferno, a map that both teams are really going to be bringing their A game on. So yeah, we've got an exciting one ahead of us. Hopefully, we're going to be seeing the best from both over on Overpass. We're going to take a quick break. A thank you to Plays TV once again for being part and parcel of what make this Intel Extreme Masters possible. We're going to take a quick one, guys. When we're back, we'll be back with your second map in this best of 3 series.